Our story begins not with a treasure chest, but deep within the earth. We're heading to the Sulayman Mountains in what is now Pakistan. These aren't just any mountains, they are ancient, rugged, and for centuries, they held a secret. Long before the rise of great empires, local tribes discovered veins of silver running through the rock like shimmering threads. This wasn't a massive commercial mining operation like you might see today. Instead, it was the hard work of families and small communities. They would chip away at the stone, following the glint of precious metal. It was a slow, painstaking process. Each ounce of silver was earned with sweat and determination, a testament to the resilience of the people who called these forbidding peaks home. The silver they pulled from the mountains was exceptionally pure. It had a unique luster, a brightness that made it highly sought after. Local artisans, skilled in their craft for generations, would melt down the raw ore. They transformed it into intricate jewelry, ornate vessels, and solid bars of bullion. This silver wasn't just currency. It was a symbol of status, a display of wealth, and a sacred part of their cultural heritage. Imagine entire villages, their economies built around this one precious resource. The silver from the Sulayman Range became the lifeblood of the region, flowing through the local markets and trade routes, connecting these isolated mountain communities to the wider world. As word of this high-quality silver spread, so did the interest of those from afar. Traders traveling the ancient Silk Road would hear tales of the mountain's bounty. They would venture off the beaten path, seeking to trade spices, textiles, and other exotic goods for this coveted metal. The silver of this region began to gain a reputation. It was known not just for its purity, but for the mystery surrounding its origins. The mountain tribes were protective of their sources, revealing the locations of their mines only to trusted members of their own clans. This secrecy only added to the allure, making the silver even more desirable to outsiders who craved both the metal and the story behind it. This period, stretching back centuries, laid the foundation for the legend. It wasn't a single king's treasure, but a collective fortune, amassed over generations. The silver represented the accumulated wealth of an entire people, a physical manifestation of their history, their labor, and their deep connection to the land. It was a fortune born from the rock, shaped by skilled hands, and guarded by ancient traditions. This vast collection of silver, gathered piece by piece, was destined for a much bigger role in a story of conflict, secrecy, and a hunt that would span the ages. The stage was being set for a great treasure to be hidden. Now, let's fast forward to the 18th century. The region is a patchwork of competing powers, a real crossroads of empires. This is where a powerful local chieftain enters our story. His name was Amir Khan, a leader of the Baloch tribes who controlled a significant portion of the territory around Dera Ghazi Khan. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a shrewd and ambitious ruler. Amir Khan understood the true power of wealth. He saw the silver not just as a means for trade, but as the key to securing his power, funding his army, and ensuring the independence of his people against the encroaching Mughal and Persian empires. He was a man with a vision, and that vision was built on a mountain of silver. Amir Khan began a systematic campaign to consolidate the region's silver. He didn't just buy it, he levied taxes, demanded tributes, and used his authority to bring all the silver under his control. From the smallest silver earring worn by a village woman to the largest bullion bar traded in the market, it all flowed towards his treasury. He became the sole guardian of the fortune that generations had pulled from the mountains. His fortress became a vault, overflowing with the shimmering metal. This wasn't just greed. In his mind, it was a strategic necessity. By controlling the wealth, he controlled the destiny of his people, creating a war chest that would make his enemies think twice before challenging him. The hoard grew to legendary proportions. People whispered of rooms filled to the ceiling with silver coins, of chests overflowing with handcrafted jewelry, and of solid silver thrones. While these stories were likely exaggerated, the core truth remained. Amir Khan had amassed one of the largest private fortunes in the region. He was a dragon sitting on his mountain of silver. This concentration of wealth made him incredibly powerful, but it also made him a target. Every neighboring ruler, every ambitious general, and every marauding army knew of the Khan's hoard. His fortress was no longer just a home, it was a giant treasure chest waiting to be cracked open. This period marks a crucial turning point in our story. The silver was no longer a decentralized resource scattered among many. It was now a single massive treasure, tied to the fate of one man and his dynasty. Amir Khan's ambition had created something spectacular. but it had also created a tremendous liability. The very treasure that gave him his strength was also his greatest weakness. He knew that if his fortress were to fall, the fortune would be lost forever, seized by his enemies. The time was coming when he would have to make a drastic decision to protect his legacy and the wealth of his people. The need to hide the silver was becoming more urgent with every passing day. The late 18th century was a chaotic time in this part of the world. The once mighty Mughal Empire was crumbling, and new powers were rising to fill the void. Armies were constantly on the move, and alliances shifted like the desert sands. For Amir Khan, the threat was no longer distant, it was at his doorstep. Armies from the Durrani Empire, based in modern-day Afghanistan, were pushing eastward, swallowing up smaller territories. Amir Khan knew his fortress, despite its strength, could not withstand a full-scale siege by such a formidable force. The thought of his life's work, the silver fortune, falling into the hands of his rivals was unbearable. He had to act, and he had to act fast. This is when the great hiding began. It wasn't a rash decision made in a moment of panic. It was a carefully orchestrated operation, shrouded in the utmost secrecy. Amir Khan chose a small, loyal group of his most trusted followers. Under the cover of darkness, night after night, they began moving the silver out of the fortress. They used mules and camels, their hooves wrapped in cloth to muffle the sound, to transport the heavy chests. They traveled along secret paths, deep into the most remote and inaccessible parts of the Sulaiman Mountains. The very mountains that had given up the silver were now being asked to take it back, to become its silent guardians. The hiding places were ingenious. The treasure wasn't buried in one spot. That would be too risky. Instead, it was divided and hidden in multiple locations. Some chests were lowered into deep natural caverns, their entrances sealed with rocks and made to look like the surrounding cliff face. Other portions were buried beneath the floors of abandoned shepherds' huts or hidden in ancient tombs that dotted the landscape. The goal was to make the discovery of any one part of the treasure an isolated event, not a clue to the rest. Amir Khan personally oversaw the operation, ensuring that the knowledge of all the locations was known only to him and perhaps one or two of his most trusted lieutenants. The sheer scale of this undertaking is staggering. We're talking about tons of silver. Moving it without alerting anyone through treacherous mountain terrain would have been a monumental task. The men involved were sworn to secrecy, their loyalty bound by oaths that were considered unbreakable. Once the last chest was hidden and the last cave was sealed, the operation was complete. The great silver fortune of Dera Ghazi Khan had vanished from the world. It had transformed from a physical reality into a legend. Amir Khan had saved his treasure from his enemies, but in doing so, he had created a puzzle that would tantalize and frustrate treasure hunters for centuries to come. A treasure of this magnitude is useless if it can never be found again. Amir Khan was a strategist, and he had a plan for recovery. He knew that his own memory was fallible and that he needed a way to pass down the secret. So he created a map. But this was no ordinary map drawn on a piece of parchment. That would be too easy to steal or copy. Instead, Amir Khan devised a series of cryptic clues and encoded symbols. The legend says he had these clues etched onto a collection of different objects. Some were inscribed on the back of a ceremonial dagger, others woven into the pattern of a prayer rug, and still more carved into the base of a heavy bronze lamp. The brilliance of this method was its security. No single object held the complete key. To find the treasure, one would need to possess all the pieces of the puzzle. This ensured that even if one of his followers turned traitor or one of the objects was stolen, the full secret of the hoard would remain safe. The map was fragmented, a collection of disparate items that, on their own, seemed innocent and unrelated. Only someone who knew what they were looking for could see them for what they truly were: the keys to an immense fortune. This multi-part map became the heart of the legend, the ultimate prize for any would-be treasure hunter. After the hiding was complete, Amir Khan scattered these map fragments among his most loyal family members and retainers. He gave the dagger to his eldest son, the rug to his wife, and the lamp to his most trusted general. He explained to each of them the significance of their object, but it's believed he never told any single person the full story. Each was given just enough information to understand their piece of the puzzle was vital. The idea was that only by coming together, in a time of peace and security, could the family reclaim their fortune. It was a plan built on trust and family unity, a final safeguard for his legacy. Unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan. Shortly after the treasure was hidden, Amir Khan was killed in a skirmish with the invading forces. His sudden death threw everything into chaos. The family was scattered, and his followers were either captured or went into hiding. The secret of how the map pieces fit together died with him. The dagger, the rug, the lamp, and whatever other objects existed were now separated, their true meaning lost. The fragmented map became a collection of disconnected riddles. The keys to the fortune were out there, but no one had the master code to decipher them. The hidden silver was now truly lost. Let's jump forward to the mid-19th century. The British East India Company, and later the British Crown, has extended its control over the Indian subcontinent. The region of Dera Ghazi Khan is now under the administration of the British Raj. The British were meticulous record keepers, administrators, and, let's be honest, they had a keen interest in any source of wealth within their new territories. It wasn't long before their officials, stationed in this remote outpost, began to hear the whispers of Amir Khan's lost fortune. The story had become a local legend, a campfire tale told by the old men of the Balak tribes. At first, the British dismissed these stories as folklore, the romanticized tales of a bygone era. But the rumors were persistent. A district officer, a man named Major Charles Sandeman, became particularly intrigued. He was known for his deep engagement with the local tribes and his ability to gain their trust. In his journals, which are now historical documents, he recorded multiple accounts of the legend. He noted how the story never changed in its core details: a powerful Khan, a massive silver hoard, a secret hiding place in the mountains, and a fragmented map. Sandeman began to believe there was a kernel of truth to the legend. Sandeman's interest turned into a quiet obsession. He used his position to conduct discreet inquiries. He interviewed the descendants of Amir Khan's clan and scoured the local bazaars for any unusual artifacts that might match the description of the map fragments. The legend speaks of him acquiring a beautifully woven rug, one that local lore claimed had belonged to the Khan's wife. While there's no official record of this, the story persists. The British, with their resources and organized approach, represented the first systematic attempt to solve the mystery. They were no longer just listening to the legend, they were actively trying to verify it. Despite their efforts, the British never found the treasure. The mountain terrain was too vast and treacherous. The local tribes, while respectful of officials like Sandeman, remained fiercely protective of their secrets and their ancestral lands. They may have shared the story, but they weren't about to give up the location of a potential fortune, especially to a foreign power. The era of the British Raj added a new layer to the legend. It transformed the story from a local tale into a documented historical mystery. The British may have failed to find the silver, but their interest confirmed that the legend of Dera Ghazi Khan's fortune was something to be taken seriously. In 1947, the world map changed dramatically. The British Raj ended, and the Indian subcontinent was partitioned, creating the new nations of India and Pakistan. Dera Ghazi Khan became part of Pakistan. This monumental event breathed new life into the old legend. With the departure of the British, there was a renewed sense of national and local pride. The story of Amir Khan's silver was no longer just a tale of lost wealth. It was a story about a local hero who had defied foreign invaders to protect his people's legacy. The treasure belonged to Pakistan now, and a new generation of searchers was eager to find it. In the 1950s and 60s, a number of government-sanctioned and private expeditions were launched into the Sulayman Mountains. These were more organized than the efforts of the past. They used geological surveys and old British maps in their attempts to pinpoint potential hiding spots. One of the most famous searches was led by a Pakistani historian, Professor Ahmed Hassan Dani. He believed the clues were not in physical objects, but were encoded in the oral poetry and folk songs of the Balak people. He spent years documenting these traditions, hoping to find a line or a verse that held a geographical clue. These searches created a buzz of excitement. Newspapers ran stories about the hunt, and the legend of Amir Khan's silver captured the public imagination. There were several moments when it seemed a breakthrough was imminent. In 1968, a team exploring a remote cave system found pottery shards and rusted tools that dated back to the 18th century. For a few weeks, the country held its breath, believing the main hoard was about to be uncovered. But the cave turned out to be empty of any silver. It was a dead end, one of many that would frustrate searchers over the years. Despite the lack of success, these post-partition searches were significant. They kept the story alive and solidified its place in the national consciousness of Pakistan. The hunt for the silver became a source of adventure and intrigue for a new nation forging its identity. Each failed expedition only deepened the mystery and enhanced the legend of Amir Khan's cleverness. The mountains continued to hold their secret, and the silver remained just out of reach. The treasure had successfully eluded the British Empire, and was now proving just as elusive to the determined efforts of a new generation of its own people. The legend of Amir Khan's silver eventually crossed oceans, reaching the ears of treasure hunters and adventurers around the world. In the late 1980s, an American adventurer and historian named Jack Riley stumbled upon the story. Riley was a classic character right out of a movie, a rugged, charismatic explorer who had spent his life chasing down historical mysteries. He came across the tale while researching British military journals in a London archive. He found a footnote in Major Sandeman's private papers that mentioned a curiously heavy bronze lamp he had seen in a Dera Ghazi Khan market, but had been unable to purchase. This was the spark that lit the fire for Riley. Riley was convinced this lamp was one of the map fragments. He dedicated the next decade of his life to the search. He traveled to Pakistan multiple times, building relationships with the local tribes, just as Sandeman had done a century earlier. He learned the local dialects and immersed himself in the culture, earning the trust of the elders who were the keepers of the oral tradition. Riley wasn't just looking for silver. He was trying to solve the historical puzzle. He believed that by understanding the mind of Amir Khan, he could predict where the treasure was hidden. His quest was a mix of academic research and old-fashioned boots-on-the-ground adventuring. The breakthrough came in 1992. After years of searching, Riley located a lamp that matched the description in a small antique shop in Lahore. It was incredibly heavy for its size, and when he examined it closely, he found faint, almost invisible scratch marks on its underside. They weren't letters or numbers, but a series of geometric shapes and symbols. Riley was ecstatic. He believed he had found the first concrete piece of Amir Khan's map. He spent years trying to decipher the code, cross-referencing the symbols with ancient petroglyphs and tribal emblems from the Sulayman Mountains region. Riley's work brought international attention to the Dera Ghazi Khan treasure once again. He published articles in adventure magazines and gave lectures about his quest. However, he never found the treasure. The lamp's code, if that's what it was, proved unbreakable without the other pieces of the puzzle. Some say he got close, that he had identified a specific valley in the mountains, but that he was forced to abandon his search due to political instability in the region. Jack Riley passed away in 2015, taking his secrets with him. He had added a fascinating modern chapter to the story and proved that the allure of Amir Khan's silver was as strong as ever. Welcome to the 21st century, where treasure hunting has gone high-tech. The search for Amir Khan's silver is no exception. Today's explorers are armed with tools that Major Sandeman and even Jack Riley could only dream of. We're talking about satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and advanced metal detectors. Enthusiasts and professional archaeologists are now able to scan vast areas of the Sulayman Mountains from their computers, looking for anomalies in the landscape, unusual depressions, unnaturally sealed cave entrances, or magnetic signatures that could indicate large deposits of buried metal. This digital approach has opened up a whole new frontier in the search. Online forums and social media groups are buzzing with theories about the treasure. People from all over the world, from history buffs in Ohio to geology students in Islamabad, are collaborating. They share research, analyze satellite photos, and debate the meaning of the legendary clues. Someone might overlay a digital version of an old British survey map with modern topographical data, while another might run a computer analysis on the symbols from Jack Riley's lamp. This crowdsourced effort means that more eyes are on the puzzle than ever before. The search is no longer limited to the few who can physically travel to Pakistan. It's a global digital expedition. Despite these technological advancements, the challenges remain immense. Ground-penetrating radar is effective, but it can't scan every square mile of a massive mountain range. The terrain is still incredibly rugged and, in many areas, politically sensitive and difficult to access. Technology can point you in the right direction, but it often still requires a team on the ground to verify any findings. And the local knowledge of the Balak tribes remains as crucial as ever. They know the mountains, the weather patterns, and the oral histories in a way that no satellite can. the most successful modern searches are those that combine cutting-edge tech with traditional human-to-human collaboration. There have been a few tantalizing finds in recent years. In 2019, a team using drone-mounted thermal cameras identified a cave with an internal temperature that was inconsistent with its surroundings, suggesting a deep, sealed-off chamber. An expedition was planned, but it was delayed by regional security concerns and then the global pandemic. These modern tools have brought us closer than ever to potentially solving the mystery. They have allowed us to narrow down the search area and identify high-probability targets. But the final step, the actual discovery, still requires someone to get their boots muddy and their hands dirty. The tech can show you the door, but you still have to find the key. So, after centuries of searching, after all the maps, clues, and high-tech hunts, what is the status of the Dera Ghazi Khan's silver fortune today, in 2026? The simple and thrilling answer is, it's still out there. To this day, not a single ounce of Amir Khan's main hoard has ever been officially recovered. The mountains have kept their secret well. The silver, hidden away in the dark of night all those generations ago, remains untouched, waiting in its scattered hiding places. The story has had many chapters, many compelling characters, and many near misses. But the final page has yet to be written. The lack of discovery is what makes this legend so powerful and enduring. It's a story without an ending, which invites us all to imagine what that ending could be. Is the treasure still perfectly preserved in sealed caves? Or has time and nature taken their toll, with rockfalls and erosion either burying it deeper, or perhaps even exposing it in some remote, undiscovered ravine? The mystery is intact, and as long as it is, the hunt will continue. The allure of a lost fortune is one of the most powerful calls to adventure that exists, and Amir Khan's silver is one of the greatest siren songs of them all. For the people of Dera Ghazi Khan and the surrounding region, the story is more than just a treasure hunt. It's a vital part of their cultural identity. Amir Khan is remembered as a symbol of resistance and foresight. The treasure itself represents the soul of the land, a heritage that was protected from outsiders. The legend is passed down from generation to generation, not just as a tale of wealth, but as a story of their people's strength and resilience. Whether the silver is ever found or not, its story has already enriched the culture of the region in a way that money never could. So, is the silver still out there? I believe it is. Somewhere deep in the rugged heart of the Suleiman Mountains, a king's ransom in silver lies sleeping. The story is a perfect storm of history, mystery, and adventure. It has all the elements: a brilliant hiding plan, a fragmented map, and a long line of dedicated searchers. It's a puzzle waiting to be solved. Perhaps the next clue will be found in a dusty archive, or maybe a new piece of technology will reveal a long-hidden secret. Or maybe, just maybe, a hiker will stumble upon a loose rock and uncover a story that's been waiting centuries to be told. The expedition is far from over.